Hello. Hi, I'm back. Welcome back to the lutkoknits knitting ramble. I have a pimple patch on, so please do not be distracted by that, but I am going to an event this evening and I would like that to be cleared up by that time. So it's just going to stay. You may hear little pitter-pattering feet, which is this small dog that is right there, just out of shot. She's quite cute, I'll put a photo up. And you may hear some noise from cars outside. Please just pay no mind to that. I have a cold beverage. It was not intended to be cold, it was just my coffee that I made about 2 hours ago. But I'm still going to enjoy it, so I have it here with me. I hope you have a slightly more palatable beverage with you and that you are ready to hear about all of the things that I've been knitting recently and crocheting and what I'm planning to be doing. So let's get started, shall we, with the most obvious point of action, what I'm wearing, and also my largest and most exciting finished object. So this is the notably buttonless Olga jacket by petiteknit, finally finished, started I think November of last year, if not earlier, maybe even August last year. It's been on my needles for nigh on a year and finally has been blocked. I will try to take some better photos to show it off, but I am so happy with this. It just finished drying yesterday. I've obviously not yet added buttons. I'm not quite sure what to do for buttons. I was thinking tortoiseshell buttons, but I'm not quite sure. I used isager aran tweed in the colours sand, green and brown, and I just alternated them throughout the whole piece, and I think alternating the contrast colours like this is so beautiful. There's this, oh please do not look at my nails and the shoddy job at the nail polish that I'm about to redo, but there's beautiful tweed in all of the colours. The green has all of these little like gold and brown flecks, the brown has these white flecks, the sand has these little black flecks. It's just stunning. The stitch definition is still quite beautiful, and I also alternated in the ribbing the colours and then just finished off with 3 rows of the last colour and an Italian bind off round. I didn't do tubular bind off. I feel that I may be converted because I just hear everyone singing a tubular bind off's praises recently, but I'm happy just going straight into it sewn bind off. I did the same amount of ribbing, just the 4 rows on the hem as well, which is more than the pattern calls for. I think it just calls for 2 stripes and to finish in the darker one, but I wanted to include both of my contrast colours, so I did that, and I wanted to just have the same amount there so it lined up. Notably, I did different colours for these parts. I chose brown was like the main contrast colour because, as you can see here on the back, that stripe there is the brown. Look at that shoulder detail. Maybe I'll turn around a bit more. The shoulder detail is so beautiful. It's a drop shoulder piece, obviously, but having that stripe and then the increases, I don't remember if it was increases or short rows, to be honest, because I did this like a year ago. But I decided that I wanted the brown to just be the center part, but I really love this green, and I wanted the green to be closer to my face, so I did the green around the collar, and I just think it's quite a cute little detail just having those two be different. I may end up not liking it and change the green to be the brown, but thankfully that's the last part that's done, so I can very easily take it off and pick up and go again. But yeah, I just need to figure out what to do for buttons. I'm thinking of doing tortoiseshell buttons, but I can very easily wear the jacket without it as well. Yeah, I'm so happy with her. These colours are just gorgeous. I think I already said it, but I'm really happy choosing to do 2 contrast colours but then still keep the white running throughout, or the cream, sand, whatever, beige. And I used less yarn than I thought I would. I have them here. these are my leftovers. So I had 2 balls of the brown, 2 hanks of the brown, 2 of the green. So I've got this much left. I've not measured them. I don't have a scale to hand, so I'm just estimating, but that's like a little bit less than 5 grams. I'd say this is maybe 5 or a little bit more grams left. So I used less than 2 hanks of each of the contrast colors, and then I've got practically a whole hank left of the sand because I only had to break into this for the last stripe on the ribbing. So that's 4 rows, well 3.5 rows, because I only had to use this for half of the first row and onwards. So 3.05 of this. So because I had 4 of this expecting to need double the amount of the stripes, but you know, it worked out to be a little bit less because I didn't need it for the rest of the ribbings. So I've got this much left of this yarn. Not quite sure what I'll do with it, but I am very happy to have it because I love this yarn so much. I've used it in I made a terrazzo sweater in the grey colour, the confetti, and I love that thing to death. It does, I will say this yarn, it does felt. Because it's 100% wool, it's Norwegian wool, and it's rustic, but yeah, it comes together very easily, and so I will expect this to felt. My terrazzo, I wear that all the time, and yeah, the fabric is just very meshed together. I wouldn't say it's like properly felted, but the stitch definition has definitely decreased over time and has become a lot more fuzzy. That's not something that I'm upset with because I think it really speaks to the longevity of the garment. Like it becomes quite an impenetrable fabric. So I'm keen to see how this one will wear. But yeah, I've waxed lyrical about this for long enough. So that's my first finished object and what I'm wearing. My next finished object was also blocked just yesterday. It's a Sophie scarf. I don't have the pattern for the Sophie scarf. I have the Sophie shawl pattern, and I just kind of finessed this. Here we go. The colour, I don't think is showing up. Oh, that's kind of accurate. It's a very deep chocolatey brown colour, but just super simple. Nothing really to it. I think that everybody and their mother has seen this pattern a million times. I'm not quite sure how to wear it. I don't really think that I can get away with wearing it like this. I mean, that's kind of cute, right? I don't know, I wore it around my hair the other day and that was nice. But I just wanted a tiny little scarf. I wanted to see if I could be a tiny little scarf person. And so I did by casting this on in August of last year, and I finally finished it over a year later. But I'm happy to have this in my wardrobe. If I'm not going to be wearing it, I'll probably tie it around a bag because I think that would be quite cute. But it's just a very easy little thing to have in my bag when I'm going out to do some knitting. So I knit this on 3mm needles, and I used the Regia Premium, Regia Premium yak. Yeah, it has a yak content, but it's technically a sock yarn, I think. I used a little bit less than 38 grams as I had previously tried to knit a beanie with this, and then I didn't like what I was doing, and so I unraveled it and balled up that much. I just broke it off from the actual ball because it comes in 100-gram balls. So I had 38 grams and I decided that I was just going to knit to halfway. So yeah, I didn't have my scales on me, so I just knit till I was looking at the ball and thought, I may run out of yarn. And I was getting quite concerned when I was up to about having this much to go because it's just knit from tip to tip. But I beat Yarn Chicken and I have this much left, which again, don't have my scales, but I'd estimate this to be like 2 grams. Maybe. Not sure what I'm going to do with this, but I do keep all of my yarn ends in a big jar to repurpose at some later stage. So this is such a cute little thing. I'm happy to be a member of this club, as I think that everybody has one of these little scarves. And yeah, they do look quite cute together. I wore this and I had this around my head in a bit more stylish manner than that, but that was the idea. Even like that's kind of cute. Is it? What do you think, Evie? She likes it. Next, I have 2 pairs of socks and I'm very excited about them. Okay, so one of the socks kind of fits into the colour scheme of the past 2 things, ironically, so I'll talk about that first, even though I'm more excited about the other pair of socks. I've worn these socks a few times already since finishing them, so they do look a bit ratty, please excuse that, but I'll talk more to that when I'm talking about the yarn. Stripes, again, brown and green stripes, but it's a pair of freestyle socks. As I said, please excuse the felting look of them. I did not do jog with stripes. There we go. These are a pair of socks that I cast on as I had an urge to make a new pair of socks. I'm really on my sock vibe at the moment. I'm just really feeling like I'll always need to have a pair of socks on my needles, and so I have. I finished 3 pairs of socks in the past 3 months, which is a lot better than my previous track record, so I think I will continue hopefully on this roll. But this, I didn't have a pattern for this. I just had these 2 different yarns which I thought complemented each other quite nicely. So I cast on 64 stitches and then just did an alternating stripes pattern. Which one did I do? I did this one first. Alternating stripe pattern. And I did a German short row heel for the first time in a long time. And I don't think I'm doing it right because mine always turn out terrible. See? I'm not too worried about the hole there, but I just mean that you shouldn't really be able to tell that much. See, it looks, there's gaps. And then I just continued on and I did a normal, slightly rounded toe. And I didn't do any ribbing at the top, I just cast on and knit all in stockinette because I thought that I really wanted a really slouchy, no fuss kind of sock. I did not do jogger stripes, so it's very obvious where my beginning of round was. But as I said, I didn't mind. I wanted this to just be like super slouchy. I can just knit and not think about it and not care. And then I knit the other sock just inverse the stripes. Let's see if I can get this to line up. Is that it? Yeah. No. I just did like the exact same stripes, but yeah, started with the brown and then started with the colour changing. The yarn, the beigey taupey colour is isager sock yarn, which is my first time using this yarn. It has alpaca content. Its colour E. I'll put it in the description. And the other one is a schoppel-wolle zauberball in colour jacket and pants, I think. Again, I will put all of the colour numbers in the description and on the screen probably because it's relevant to what I'm talking about. So I have worn this a few times. I have worn it in my shoes. I want to make socks that are functional and that I'm going to be using, so I wear it out. And the alpaca yarn, it just felt immediately like this. That's actually not demonstrating my point. That is pretty well felted. It's held up to be fair, but that is fuzzy. So And it really only is the alpaca part, like, because it's quite thinly striped in a lot of places, I can just not really see much wear or feel much wear on the zauberball, because that one is just a 75-25 wool and sock yarn, and it's non-superwash, which I really like. Both, neither of these are superwash. I wouldn't imagine so with the alpaca, but it really, the stitch definition's still there, it's really not peeling that much, and it hasn't merged together. But the alpaca next to it is just quite, yeah, like probably this toe is a good example. Oh, that's in my coffee almost. Hopefully that's showcasing what I'm talking about. I wouldn't say, I mean, I can't really say that I'm unhappy with it so far, because it's doing its job. I'm wearing this, it's not coming apart. If anything, I feel like it's making a bit of a stronger sock, but like the bottom, the sole, probably from the toe to the heel on both of the socks is felted. So I think this will make it durable. I'm just not too sure about this isager sock yarn, but everyone seems to really like it. I guess if it doesn't wear through, and if this felting does in fact just make it more durable, I'll be happy with that, but I would be very disappointed if this starts disintegrating and making holes. So we shall see. I do have a few other sock quantities of this yarn in my stash that I'd bought, preempting that it would be really great because there was on sale at some time. This will actually probably show the colours, the stripes being matching up. As you can see, felted. So yeah, I'm quite happy with these socks, and I'm keen to see how the yarn goes. My next pair of socks, which I'm so excited about. I've also worn these, but they are holding up far better. What is this? Oh, nothing. It's just my Very Hungry Caterpillar socks. What, you don't have a pet? These are my pride and joy of the moment. My first time doing duplicate stitch, and it did turn out quite strange, so please just ignore the little pieces of yellow thread that I've not woven in very well. But I am so in love with these socks. They are so fun and silly and quirky. I just freestyled the pattern. I mentioned what I did in the last video, but I don't know if anyone's interested. I will write up a little guide of what I did. I don't really feel like I'm comfortable making like a paid pattern, just because I don't have skills in pattern writing at all, and also this is like a copyrighted design. I'd imagine that it's probably infringing some things to be receiving remuneration for design I did not conceptualize myself. But I can tell you how I did it. So yeah, I can release a little guide just writing it all down, but I did detail it in my last video. And I've got so much wear out of it. They're so comfy. This yarn has held up very well, especially in comparison to that. I've worn these more times, and like, there's just not much wear. It's a little bit of wear like on the toe, because I've worn them in my shoes, walking the dog, like cuddled up on the couch. I've worn these socks. So perhaps there really is some merit to a superwash sock yarn. Just nylon and superwash wool this is. There's a few little pills, but the felting only really around the heel and toe, but in a manner that I'm not, it's barely noticeable. Those socks, however, they're on probation. So they're super comfy, and they do scrunch down. Ooh, yeah, that join shows up a lot on camera. That's right, beginning of round. The pattern that I've used of the bits and pearls, it scrunches down on your leg in a really nice manner, because I think like it's a caterpillar, right? You want it to be squishy and kinetic. So I quite like that. I don't mind that it scrunches down, and also I'm super still happy about that little hidden. It's not a real surprise because I know it's there, but I really like that the inside is also green. So yeah, hungry socks. When I wear them, I like kind of do that with my toes to make it look like the caterpillar's moving. It is a bit strange, but it really embodies the vibe, I think. And yeah, duplicate stitching for the first time was, that was difficult to learn, if I'm being honest. Trying it first off on what socks I've knit in sock yarn on 2mm needles, and then therefore having to use that fingering weight yarn on this tiny little piece of fabric to duplicate stitch. That was difficult. I watched quite a few videos. Finally, the one by Made in the Moment, that's what stuck. That's what stuck. Wow. And that really got me in the hang of it. I can't say by any means that it's perfect, but I'm happy with it. And they're going to be on my feet anyway, so I'm not really having them too close to my face anyway, or my eyes. Please ignore, does anyone have any information or tips actually about how to weave in your ends for different colors on stockinette? Like, it's just so obvious where I've woven in my duplicate stitching ends. You can see it just comes through. But anyway, here's my socks. Those are my duplicate stitched little eyes. And this is in the beautiful yarn kit from Shan's Yarns. She has a very hungry sock set, which contains everything needed to make this. She has her pattern that she's made, and her own charts for the eyes. And I would highly recommend the yarn. I think I will make another pair of these for my sister. If you're watching, pretend you didn't hear that. And see, yeah, I can write up a little guide if that would be helpful to anybody, but I think we should all be very whimsical with our knitting and make ridiculous things for our extremities. Okay, what else have I got to talk about? Speaking of my sister, I did whip up a little piece for her recently, which I don't have on me. I don't know why I looked, I gave it to her. It is a crochet piece, which has been gifted to her, as I just mentioned, so I don't have it, but I'll pop up some photos if she takes some, as I've asked. It is the Badass Balaclava by Caroline Zuschlag of, I think she just goes by her name. And she does amazing, funky, cool, quirky crochet pieces. I crocheted this pattern 3 years ago for myself. My sister has repeatedly stolen mine and sleeps in it and loves it so much, and so I made one for her so I could have mine back. It is a balaclava made in slip stitches, well, the single crochets rather, with some slip stitches for the ribbing. I used the recommended yarn of the Drops Baby Merino. Mine is in like this bright green color. That was the color that was a la mode at the time. Everyone was using this green. Now I don't love it as much. I still wear it quite often and it does go with a lot of my jackets and things, so I'm happy to keep that, but I do have yarn in my stash to make another more neutral one. It's just navy. I made hers in this rose pinky color. I think it's even called fuchsia or rose pink from Drops, and I used exactly 3 balls. In fact, I did not have enough yarn to make the I-cord cord. So it does recommend 4 balls, and I do have a 4th ball. It just wasn't with me when I was making it. So I just gave it to her without the cord, and she can just use something else, or I can just make that for her at a later date. But I would really recommend this pattern for crocheting. It's quite an intuitive construction, personally, and I think that the finished product is so cool. I really do love the balaclava trend, I guess. And for functionality, balaclavas are great. I really like that it covers your neck, and you can just wear it as a hood. You just pop it into any jacket that doesn't have a hood, and then presto, you're ready to go. And I think that it just looks really well made. Not to toot my own horn, but it's just a really professional piece, and I think that it's a great staple in your wardrobe. So I made that for my sister. She has it. Terrible and very inconvenient time for us here because spring has sprung in Australia, so she may not get much use out of it, but she has it and it'll be there for next year. Yeah, that concludes my finished objects, and I've been talking for so long. So I only have 2 real whips to talk about. I'm on quite the I want to finish all of my active whips train at the moment. So I'm really keen to finish them and cast on new projects guilt-free. Not that there's should really be guilt in our making process, but I just feel that it'll really alleviate my conscience of not hauling around 17,000 whips with me. So the 2 whips I have, neither of them are a surprise, but I've made some progress on them, and because I've just finished this, I had to do all of the body and the ribbing on this. So I finished this and then I'm boom on to the next one, but it is an oversized stockinette piece, so it's taking me so long. Let me grab it. So let me present to you my Joan sweater by Gregoria Fibres. Wow. So this is the piece, Joan sweater by Gregoria Fibres. It's a saddle shoulder, oversized crew neck. I don't really have many crew necks. I think I've only got 1 crew neck piece in my wardrobe, but I definitely do have speckled grey sweaters in my wardrobe, so I'm tripling up there, but that's really up my alley. I quite enjoy a tweed, and grey with tweed just really has spoken to me recently. So this is her, this is she. I finished both of the sleeves. They look super cinched and funny, but they will stretch out over time. It is just twisted rib, which I am quite fond of. I do think already that my collar is going to stretch out. I think it's too big, when I tried it on at least. But that's something I can fix later. I have joined I've joined my new ball of yarn, and I'm just knitting interminably in stockinette. These needles that I've got on right now are my 120 centimeters, because there's that many stitches right now. It's going to be beautifully oversized. So I'm on my second to last ball. Just started that there. I'm going to just knit that until it's done. Then I've got this one here using the Corrie Confetti by aimee. It is in the color greybow number 4, which is, I've got the label here, might as well inform you, 230 meters in 100 grams of 50% Falkland Corriedale, 30% recycled fibres, and 20% aimee recycled threads. So incredibly soft. Very worried it's going to pill. This is very expensive yarn, so I hope that it gives me a good quality finished piece. We shall see. But yeah, I'm just going to knit until this is done. Each round takes me so long because there's like a lot of stitches on these needles, and I have to just keep, like, I'll knit a little bit and then I just need to reorder all my stitches, and it's stopping and starting all the time. I'm not able to really get into the flow as much. But I'm still going with that. I do really want a little pair of gloves in this yarn. So what I think my plan of action is, I've done the sleeves and all the important bits, so the body can kind of be whatever length. At the moment it's just past here, which is important. So I don't really care for it to be down to my knees, not that I've got enough yarn for that. But I'm going to cake this yarn up, knit a pair of gloves with it, and then just use the rest to keep knitting on this, because I just really want a pair of gloves in this yarn. I mentioned it in my last video. I filmed just this little pair of 2x2 rib gloves. I think it's by Isolde. I'm not sure, but it's a really cute pattern of gloves, and I saw someone had made it in this exact yarn, and I want that now. So this will soon be done, but it's just stockinette for miles now. 4 miles, for kilometers, for meters, centimeters. Wow, what am I talking about? Let's now talk about the last piece. I don't want this yarn to fall in my coffee, so I've got a very precarious setup here. Just don't worry about it, don't worry about it. My last work in progress, I'm so excited for, and this one actually fits into the fact that it's spring. Even though it is a 100% wool garment, it is a cute little top, which doesn't look like it so far. This is the Bifurca vest by Teti Lutsak of Teti's Knit Garden, I believe. It is a colourwork, strangely shaped vest, sleeveless, and it is gorgeous. I've not yet finished. I was hoping to have finished the colourwork section by the time I was filming this, but other garments have gotten priority. So there's a beautiful floral colourwork pattern that is not quite evident with the bunching of my stitches. Can you see that? Not quite. But this is the neckline actually. So it sits like a oval around your neck. It's got this beautiful twisted rib, the contrast cast on, and these lovely, lovely colours. So these, ooh, I'm about to drop my stitches. These are the two yarns, which I think are just gorgeous. It's the pole merino, or yeah, I think it's pole merino from leahcim yarns. And someone commented, I'm so glad they commented, on one of my videos that leahcim is actually just Michael spelt backwards, and it's the Michael's family who owns this yarn. And I thought that was so lovely, and I'm really glad to have learned that. I love it when people correct me on my pronunciation, because I love to learn new things, and so I'm very, very grateful. Please continue to do so. And I will endeavour to actually know what I'm talking about before I start talking about it, because I think that is up on my due diligence, honestly. But when I get it wrong, please do correct me. I love to learn. So this is the pole merino, and pole merino just means that they don't have horns. Who knew? Not me until the Bendigo Sheep and Wool show of this year. I'm using these two lovely colours. This colour here has bits of this in it, so I think they're beautiful for a colourwork piece. And I'm so excited to wear this spring. It'll probably be too warm for the summer. We do get quite warm summers here in Australia. But I think she's gorgeous. Just this with a beautiful flowy skirt. Lovely. I'm so loving these colours. Purple is my favourite colour. And I am really wanting to be more comfortable with this beautiful mustardy colour as well. So hopefully by conjoining them I can get a lot of wear out of this piece. Yeah, not much to say about this so far. It's still in a very strange space where it doesn't really look like anything. But I'm very keen to see how it turns out. I think this designer, she does beautiful things, and I'm keen to try one of her pieces. So that's all of my works in progress and finished objects. Quite sock heavy this episode. I've not yet cast on another pair of socks, but I will do, so I'll have some more cast-ons coming soon, because I think I'm very close to finishing both of my whips, and I'm going to treat myself with some new cast-ons. So yeah, no progress on my other whips, but I am on track to be finishing quite a lot of my languishing ones, and I'm very excited about that. I also don't have any acquisitions, because I did make a pact with myself that the Bendigo show this year was going to be where I buy my yarn. I'm not going to buy any more, and I've made good to that. I did buy some new needles. That's what that 120 centimetre set of needles I was just talking about. I needed them to finish this, because there was a ridiculous amount of stitches to be piling onto an 80 centimetre cable. I'm very glad I've invested in this set of needles. I think I'll knit a lot of cardigans with it. So yeah, no acquisitions, just that set of needles. In terms of other things, I am still going on the Secret History, my reading. I have just got up to chapter 6, which is like 300 pages in. It's part 3, I think. I'm really enjoying it, and it's quite pertinent. I'm not sure if anyone, I think that a few people who watch me are Australian. The Mushroom Lady saga of this year and last year. Yeah, I'll just leave that at that, but I've been seeing some connections going on here, at least for the part that I've just read, and it was quite funny. I've also been rereading the Lord of the Rings. I've just finished The Hobbit, and I'm in the Fellowship now, up to Council of Elrond, which I'm really, really enjoying rereading it. I would highly, highly recommend the Andy Serkis audiobooks, which I've also been enjoying. Amazing narration job, and because he's the voice of Gollum as well. I feel like this may be a little bit too niche to just randomly pop into the end of a knitting video, but yeah, I'm really enjoying rereading Lord of the Rings. It's been a while since I have last read or watched them. I did watch okay, this is going way off topic, but do people enjoy if I just talk about the media I'm consuming? Please let me know. Thank you for joining me on another little random video, another ramble of my knitting escapades. I hope my earrings weren't too jangly for you. I'm just hearing them as I'm moving my head, and I notice that I move my head a lot when I talk. Hopefully this is okay. Yeah, I've had a lot of fun knitting over the past month, and I will have a lot of fun knitting over the next month as well, and I hope to see you again. So thanks for joining me. Bye.